Economy deck is below. This area is for executive guests only.
I was just taking in the view. Is there a problem?
A problem? Look at you, that cheap windbreaker, those jeans, you clearly don't belong up here.
The senior steward shoved the young man toward the elevator, his white-gloved hand pressed against a faded navy windbreaker, voice dripping with derision. Before the closing doors could seal his victim inside, the ship-wide public address system emitted a sharp electronic tone.
Attention, all crew and guests. This is your captain speaking. We are honored to welcome our fleet chairman aboard for an unannounced inspection.
From the bridge, Captain Okamoto sprinted toward the elevator lobby, his formal white coat billowing behind him.
Chairman Todo, it is an honor to have you aboard. My deepest apologies for not greeting you personally.
The chairman? That plain-looking kid in the windbreaker? No, there must be some mistake.
Yusei Todo's fingers brushed the leather-bound fleet ownership document inside his jacket. He hadn't needed to produce it yet.
I believe you were expecting me, Captain. Yusei Todo, chairman of the Todo Shipping Group.
Chairman Todo, I am so deeply sorry. I had no idea. Please, I beg your forgiveness.
An apology is accepted. But dismissing guests for their clothing is not how my grandfather built this fleet. My inspection will continue. You will not announce my presence to anyone. I want to see how this ship truly runs.
Understood, Chairman. No word will leave this deck. I will personally ensure full cooperation.
Yusei stepped into the elevator alone, leaving Toshiki on the polished floor, his career trembling with every quiet ding of the descending car. The lower decks opened before him, simpler railings, plastic chairs, families and budget vacation wear. The salt wind felt the same.
This is where the real test begins. A cruise line is only as good as how it treats the passengers who aren't in suites.
He did not know that within 3 days, a simple blanket would undo a system of quiet cruelty, or that the deckhand holding it would change everything. For now, he was just a man in a cheap windbreaker, shivering slightly as the afternoon chill settled over the sea.
Oh, you're shivering. Hang on, I've got an extra blanket right here.
Before he could answer, she unfolded the blanket and wrapped it around his shoulders, her movements quick and practiced.
Thank you. That was very observant of you.
I'm Chica, the junior deckhand on this deck. It's my second season. When the wind picks up, guests often get caught off guard.
A junior deckhand? That must keep you busy. Do you always carry spare blankets?
More than I'd like. But if a blanket can make someone's day, why hold back, right?
No one on the upper deck would have offered him this. The kindness was jarring and strangely welcome.
Are you traveling alone? This deck is mostly for groups and families. You stood out against the railing.
Just needed some quiet. The view here is better than people give it credit for.
For the first time since boarding, Yusei allowed himself a small, unguarded smile. The weight of his inspection temporarily lifted. That evening, Yusei slipped into the crew corridor and pulled open a door labeled Guest Relations Records. The room was dim and silent. Inside, he found logbooks detailing every deck removal by Senior Steward Toshiki, neatly filed, as if the cruelty were routine.
23 removals in one season. 2 elderly couples celebrating 50 years, all turned away for inappropriate attire.
Using his phone, he photographed every page. Later, in his modest cabin, the images filled his laptop screen like a criminal ledger.
This isn't just one steward being a snob. It's a pattern, a policy of humiliation built on quiet power.
One couple had saved for 3 years for that cruise. Their golden anniversary reduced to a curt gesture and a lower deck cabin.
Grandfather built this fleet to give people dignity on the sea. Toshiki has twisted that into a petty fiefdom.
Beside the laptop, a small framed photo of his grandfather, gentle eyes. The same wind-tousled hair seemed to watch in silence. He copied the files to a secure drive. The evidence was solid, but exposing it would tear open the cruise line's reputation. For now, the files remained on his desk. Tomorrow he would dig deeper into the whispers and the money. The next morning, Yusei pulled on a plain crew polo, and moved through the narrow corridors where stewards gathered between shifts.
The lower deck crew talked freely when no one official was listening. Complaints, gossip, nervous laughter.
Near the linen storage, 2 stewards muttered about Toshiki's latest outburst, a family relocated to interior cabins for wearing sandals.
Sandals on a summer cruise. The cruelty was now a documented pattern, but also a live, repeating offense.
Later, behind the galley, laughter echoed. A group of Toshiki's senior stewards were sharing drinks and stories. One raised a glass and called it membership fees. Pay up or stay down. The others howled.
Bribery. Toshiki's system wasn't just snobbery. It was an organized shakedown.
Yusei slipped away, his phone heavy in his pocket. He needed to capture those words in their own voices.
Tomorrow, I'll come back with a recorder. One clean audio clip will be enough to end this.
For now, he retreated to the lower deck railing, where the wind cooled his anger and where Chika would soon find him again. The next morning, Yusei found Toshiki in his opulent office, holding court over 2 cronies with a smug grin.
This is it. Just a few seconds of his own words will seal his fate.
If they want the executive deck but can't dress for it, they pay a little membership fee. Otherwise, I send them packing. Ha!
The recording app captured every syllable. The clink of glasses, the smug laugh, the casual admission of bribery.
Got it. That one clip will sink him and restore dignity to 23 families.
Later, on the lower deck, Yusei saw Chika kneeling beside an elderly woman, the same one Toshiki had almost removed that morning.
Please don't cry, ma'am. You belong here just as much as anyone. Let me bring you some tea and a warmer blanket.
She has no authority, no title. Yet she offers more warmth than every executive steward aboard.
He watched Chika wrap the old woman in her own jacket before fetching the tea, unaware that the chairman of the fleet was watching her too.
When this is over, she deserves a role where her kindness carries real authority and Toshiki's cruelty is permanently erased.
That evening, the crew mess buzzed with tired laughter and clattering trays. Yusei sat alone until Chika slid a tray across the table toward him.
You're eating alone again? I promise the stew is better than it looks. Deck crew secret.
It's fine. I've had worse. You don't have to keep an eye on me, you know.
Force of habit. My dad got sick after Mom passed, so I've always looked after people. One day, I want to be in a position where I can make sure every guest, no matter their budget, feels genuinely welcome.
That's a rare way to see it. Most people in this industry just chase the tips. Every word she says is the opposite of Toshiki's corruption. And I'm lying to her by even sitting here.
Hey, you okay? You got quiet all of a sudden.
Just thinking. This stew really is better than it looks.
As they ate, the din of the mess faded into a quiet, shared peace, but Yusei's chest tightened with the weight of his unspoken secret. After dinner, Yusei cut through a quiet corridor and found Toshiki in a shadowed alcove, palm extended to a trembling passenger.
This is it. The moment the ledger becomes a crime.
Smart of you to pay up. Now go enjoy the sun deck. Just keep quiet about our little arrangement.
The camera clicked silently, a photo of a steward collecting an envelope while the passenger kept his head down, already defeated.
Photographs, audio, removal logs. It's all here, enough to end his career.
But the same evidence would stain the cruise line's reputation, the same line his grandfather had built with nothing but a single freighter and a promise.
Grandfather, you always said integrity was the fleet's true engine. I hope you'd forgive the storm this will bring. Grandfather, you always said integrity was the fleet's true engine. I hope you'd forgive the storm this will bring.
An hour later, he found Chika on the lower deck, her silhouette warm against the night sea. He stepped forward, ready to tell her everything.
One word from her, and I'd stop being just a passenger. But if I tell her now, the trust she's shown me shatters before the inspection ends.
He lowered his hand. The secret remained, heavier than ever, pressing against his ribs with every passing wave. Chika navigated the narrow crew corridor, a forgotten notebook in hand Yusei's, from the bench the night before. His cabin door stood slightly ajar, a wedge of lamplight falling across the metal floor. Inside, the leather case on the desk was unmistakable. A fleet ownership badge, its gold crest catching the light.
A fleet ownership badge. Yusei has the chairman's badge. He's not a passenger at all. He's the chairman. The same chairman the captain announced on day 1, and he said nothing.
She stepped closer, her breath held, and read the engraved name beneath the ship's seal. Yusei Todo, Chairman Todo Shipping Group.
The man in the windbreaker is the chairman. All those dinners, was he just assessing the crew?
Her fingers curled around the cold metal. The leather case lay open, as if waiting for this very moment. Chika stood rooted, the badge trembling in her fingers, as the quiet betrayal pressed against her ribs, a cruel echo of his silence.
You're the chairman, the one the captain bowed to, and you let me offer you a blanket like you were just some lost passenger.
Chika, I planned to tell you. Tonight I almost did. The inspection needed anonymity. It wasn't about deceiving you personally.
Not deceit? Every dinner, every conversation, you knew I thought you were just another guest. Was I part of the inspection too?
No. You were never part of it. Your kindness was real. It's why I'm exposing Toshiki. Everything you told me, it proved what this ship should be.
Proved? So my words were just data to you, a deckhand's testimony to use in your report.
No, Chika. The way you gave that blanket, it was the first moment that wasn't about inspection. I didn't tell you because I was afraid of losing this.
You were afraid of losing a moment? Chairman, you own the ship. You can buy any moment you want, but you can't buy trust with silence.
She set the badge down on the desk with a soft click, the sound of a door closing between them.
I need to think. Please don't follow me.
The door clicked shut. Yusei sank onto his bunk, the empty lamplight mocking the hollow space her footsteps left behind.
Yusei stared at the badge. Her words echoed. Trust couldn't be bought, but the inspection mattered more now.
By morning, Yusei had located the 2 golden anniversary couples, both relocated to cramped interior cabins on Deck 3.
My name is Yusei. I'm reviewing guest relations on this ship. Can I ask about your experience?
The husband recalled 3 years of saving, rewarded with a sneer and a shove, their best clothes deemed shabby. The wife described how Toshiki demanded cash to keep them from being thrown off, no receipt.
Your story will reach the people who can act. I promise you that.
In the neighboring cabin, another couple in their 80s recounted a nearly identical humiliation. That evening, Yusei added the recordings to his file. The evidence now carried the weight of shattered milestones.
Chika was right. Trust couldn't be bought. But he'd earn it back by making this right, starting with Toshiki.
The logbook gaps were too clean. Someone had been copying files, and the crew was whispering about an inspector.
His fingers flew across the keyboard, a deletion progress bar slicing through the records. Sweat rolled down his temple.
Step away from the terminal, Toshiki. Deleting evidence only proves you knew it was criminal.
Chairman, this isn't I was just clearing old data. Routine maintenance, I swear.
Routine? Your membership fees are on audio, your cash collections are photographed. The families you ruined have given statements.
The server room hummed with the heat of the machines and the tension of a man who had just run out of exits.
You can't do this. If this gets out, the cruise line's reputation will be destroyed. Is that what you want?
The reputation worth protecting is the one my grandfather built on integrity. You've already destroyed that. This ship will survive you.
Toshiki's hand hovered over the power cable, but the truth was already backed up in 3 places outside his reach.
You will explain your membership fees to the captain and the crew. Tonight, before the crew hears it, let's make sure you remember your own voice.
The recording filled the room. If they want the executive deck but can't dress for it, they pay a little membership fee. Toshiki's own sneer echoed off oak panels.
You fool. If you play that to anyone, I'll call every maritime press outlet. This cruise line will drown in scandal.
A scandal caused by a single corrupt steward is survivable. Continuing to hide it is not.
Survivable? Your grandfather's name will be dragged through every fishing port. Is that what you want?
He built this fleet to serve people, not to extort them. You've already disgraced his name. I'll cleanse it.
Yusei raised his phone again, this time recording. The blinking red light captured Toshiki's threat in real time.
You're insane. You'll destroy us both.
No, I'll restore it. Captain, assemble every crew member in the main hall in 30 minutes. It ends tonight.
The ship's intercom remained silent, no public word yet, but word of the chairman's summons spread through the crew like a current. The main hall filled with crew, linen staff, engineers, galley hands, all whispering the same question. Why had the chairman summoned them?
Should I even go? After walking out on him? But I need to hear what he says.
Quiet, everyone. The chairman will arrive shortly. I expect order.
Toshiki stood near the back, pale and silent, his usual cronies maintaining a careful distance from him. The double doors swung open. Yusei stepped in, still in his plain windbreaker, the leather badge now hooked visibly at his belt. The room hushed. Not a single chair scraped. Yusei walked to the podium, his footsteps the only sound.
He looks exhausted, but his eyes are steady. This isn't just about the inspection anymore.
Yusei tapped the microphone once. The feedback whined, then settled. Every breath seemed to pause. One of the elderly couples from the testimonies sat in the front row, hands clasped, their anniversary trip held in the balance. For a long moment, Yusei didn't speak. Then he drew a breath, and the truth was finally ready to break.
My name is Yusei Todo, chairman of this fleet. I have spent 3 days on this ship as a passenger, and what I found was not the legacy my grandfather built.
Behind him, the screen lit with a simple number, 23. 23 guests removed for their clothing, their appearance, their unsuitability for the deck they paid to enjoy.
2 of those couples are here tonight. They saved for years, expecting a golden celebration. They were met with a demand for money and a shove.
Then the recording played. Toshiki's voice filled the hall. If they can't dress for it, they pay a membership fee. Otherwise, I send them packing.
That's out of context. You edited that. You can't prove anything.
The context is your hand accepting an envelope in this photograph. The witness statements are here, and your threat to destroy the fleet is recorded as well.
You're just a spoiled heir playing inspector. This fleet will crumble without me.
Enough, Toshiki. You will not threaten the chairman in front of this crew.
The truth is no longer hidden. Each of you has seen what kind of man has held authority over your guests.
Toshiki stood trapped. His cronies had melted into the crowd, and every pair of eyes in that hall now looked at him as a stranger.
Effective immediately, Senior Steward Toshiki is permanently reassigned to inventory logistics, stripped of all guest-facing authority.
You can't bury me in some storage hold. I built your precious executive deck standards. This fleet owes me.
2 security officers took him by the arms. Toshiki's polished shoes dragged across the floor as the double doors swung open. A few junior stewards exchanged nervous glances. Relief and fear mixed in equal measure. Would the chairman's purge reach them next?
He actually did it. No hesitation. That windbreaker hit a will of iron.
One chapter is closed. But this ship's healing depends on what comes next, and who I trust to lead it.
Chairman, the crew awaits your further instructions. We will implement whatever changes you deem necessary.
Thank you, Captain. But before structural changes, there is one crew member whose conduct must be publicly recognized.
The room exhaled. Chika's hands tightened on her lap. She knew what was coming and wasn't sure she was ready to hear it.
Chika, would you please come forward?
Chika rose on unsteady legs and walked toward the podium, 100 eyes tracking her every step.
3 days ago, a deckhand brought a blanket to a shivering man. No order, just instinct.
He lifted a framed certificate from the podium, a new role created by the chairman himself.
Chika, effective immediately, you are the guest experience officer. You have the authority to override any steward's removal decision.
Chairman, this is everything I've ever wanted. I'll work every day so no guest is made to feel small.
She stepped to the microphone, the certificate clutched to her chest, her voice trembling but clear.
To be seen for who you are, not what you wear. That's the ocean I want to sail.
The crew rose in applause, genuine, loud, and full of relief. The applause washed over Chica, but her eyes found Yusei's. For the briefest moment, the silence between them felt louder. The Aozora had a new officer, and the chairman had a new hope. That trust could be rebuilt, one blanket at a time. After the crew dispersed, Yusei searched the ship until he found her on the lower deck, the sunset painting the sea in shades of gold.
I owe you more than a public promotion. I owe you the truth, personally.
The truth is, I was angry. But watching you stand up to Toshiki, I saw the real Yusei.
I deceived you, and I have no excuse. But I promise, from now on there's no badge, no title, just me.
That's all I wanted. Not the chairman, just the man who needed a blanket.
The sunset turned the sea to liquid amber as they stood inches apart, the silence no longer heavy with secrets.
Starting over then? I'm Yusei. It's nice to meet you.
Chica, and I still think you need to dress warmer.
Their fingers laced together, a simple gesture that promised more than any speech. For the first time, Yusei didn't feel the weight of the fleet on his shoulders, only the warmth of a deckhand's hand. On the final morning, the Aozora glided into port, its horn echoing over the waiting docks. Chica squeezed his hand as they stepped onto the dock. She was about to introduce him to her parents.
They're usually shy around strangers. Just be the man who needed a blanket, and they'll love you.
A middle-aged couple waited on the dock, the father in a simple jacket, the mother holding a small bunch of sea lavender.
Mom, Dad, this is Yusei. He's the chairman, but more importantly, he made sure no guest gets pushed around anymore.
I'm honored to meet you both. Your daughter reminded this fleet what service really means.
Chica's mother dabbed her eyes, then reached out to squeeze Yusei's hand. The father, a quiet man, patted Yusei's shoulder and nodded toward the seaside restaurant.
They didn't care about the badge. They cared that he had seen their daughter's heart.
Walking with her parents along the promenade, Yusei felt a quiet belonging settle over him, a warmth that had nothing to do with the fleet he owned. The seaside restaurant was simple: wooden tables, salt in the air, and a view of the harbor where the Aozora rested.
Dad, tell him about the time I tried to be captain for a day and steered into a buoy.
She did that? I'm starting to see where she gets her determination.
Her father chuckled, a deep, rare sound, and recounted how his daughter had never met a rule she didn't want to rewrite.
She rewrote my rules too, turned an inspection into something human.
Her mother poured tea with practiced hands, watching the young man who had changed her daughter's life. Her father leaned forward, his voice quiet but steady. I was worried no one would see her worth. You did? That's all a father can ask.
She saw mine first. I'm just returning the favor.
The afternoon stretched, filled with stories and laughter, knitting Yusei into a fabric he had never thought he would wear. Back on the ship, Yusei sat alone in his cabin, the blanket from Chica draped over his knees. He lifted it, remembering the chill that had first brought her to his side.
3 days ago, a stranger wrapped this around me. Now I can't imagine leaving without her.
A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Chica stood in the doorway with 2 cups of tea.
Thought you might want company for your last night aboard.
I was just thinking about this blanket. And you.
It's yours now. I have a feeling you'll need it on land too.
She touched his hand, then left him to the quiet. The blanket felt warmer than before. The model Aozora on the shelf caught his eye, a reminder of the fleet he inherited and the heart he'd almost forgotten. Outside, the waves murmured. For the first time, the chairman didn't feel alone. Later that night, they dragged 2 deck chairs to the stern and lay back under a sky thick with stars.
Look at that constellation. My dad used to say it was a ship sailing forever.
A ship that never docks. My grandfather would have liked that. He believed a fleet was only as good as its horizon.
What's your horizon now?
I think it looks a lot like this. Maybe with a blanket.
I know a place where we can get one.
Their fingers laced naturally, as if they had done so for years. The silence that followed needed no words. The Aozora sailed on, its lights tiny against the vast dark, carrying a chairman who had finally found his true course. Somewhere on the lower deck, a blanket lay folded over 2 chairs, a simple piece of fabric that had rewritten the rules of a fleet. And for the first time, the man in the windbreaker was not sailing alone.